So my name is Peter Kinyanjui. I'm a fashion stylist, cum shoe designer. I'm also the creative director of the shoe brand Pete Stephenson. People around here call me Pete Fundi wa Viatu. I'm a creative, I'm an ambitious person, and I like to think of myself as a perfectionist. I'm not quite sure if it's a good character trait, but then I like things working out how I envision them. So growing up, I used to be a very curious kid. I used to have this bunch of toys. I used to destroy them because I was intrigued with the engineering of these toys, like how these toys are made and how they come out as like an implication of a real vehicle. So it got me into trouble with my parents because I remember one time I opened up my dad's car stereo and it didn't end well for me. But basically my intuition was getting to understand how things work. And I think this led me to this very point in my life, because when I started making shoes, like the first step had to be, I destroyed a couple of pairs of shoes in order to understand the making process of a shoe. So the idea came about in 2020. This is my pandemic, baby. So what happened, business were at standstill and events were shut down. So being a stylist, I didn't have any other gigs to style people. However, I remember this one client who called me one time. I think he was having a wedding and he wanted a pair of shoes. Unfortunately, I couldn't get a pair that he wanted, and then the uncertainties of whether goods are coming in and out of the country was a bit tricky. So I think this was my light bulb moment. So I decided, why not make my own pair of shoes? So from there, I embarked on a journey of research. I called a bunch of friends. I have this friend, his name is Malik, very good guy. I called him because he's been in the leather industry before. So I asked him about leather, about the process of getting good quality leather here in Kenya. And he was very insightful. And from there on, it's been research. And then I think 2 months later, I started now the process of making my own shoe. It wasn't something that I was passionate about. Okay, I have been into fashion. Like I feel like fashion is in my DNA, but I kind of restrain myself from making stuff because I used to be a stylist. So basically I used to sell a service to people. So now I am transitioning to selling a product. So shoes were not a thing that I envisioned one time I would do. So basically it started, like I said, with the research. So I did some research on shoemaking, and then now I went to scout for leather. After scouting for leather, now it's getting craftsmen like cordwainers who would assist me, because remember, I was not doing any production. So I had to get someone on board to help me with the design process, and someone who would put my vision, like bring it into reality. So from there on, when I was scouting, I stumbled upon a certain fundi here in Kariobangi Market. He guided me through the whole process. So I started designing my own pairs. I started making the sketches. I started creating the patterns, and from there on, it's been 2 years now. So when I was starting up, when it comes to the sketches, I was a student at the University of Nairobi studying arts and design. So basically I had a few, like I had knowledge of how to come up with the sketches, come up with designs. So transitioning wasn't as difficult. However, it was a bit cumbersome because getting like the right actual measurements for a pair of shoe was the tricky bit. So the first pair of shoes that I made, if I'm honest, it was horrible. But then again, I think with the time, never lose hope. With the time, I got to, like, I think I made a number of pairs that I turned them as dead stock, because eventually you can't get it on the first time with the first attempt. So I just kept on trying. I think with the time, I still am not perfect, but I think I'm on the journey to being there. Okay, so starting up, it was during the pandemic, like I said. Well, the funding, I had saved up some few coins through the styling gigs that I was doing. So I had some amount. However, this amount was not enough. So I had to call up my family. I remember my sister and my brother-in-law were very instrumental. My parents as well chipped in. So I raised a few coins. I think it was something short of 200,000. And so when it was a bit difficult, because remembering people who were saving up, spending their monies on toiletries and hand sanitizers and hand wash. Here I am embarking on a journey of spending the very much money that you're supposed to save on buying leather. The first year of business wasn't as easy. It's not a walk in the park. Um, what happened? I decided to venture into like the strategy I used was branding. I decided to call my friend. I have a friend who does good quality photos. His name is Willie Moturi. So like a fantastic guy when it comes to photography. He took a couple of photos of the shoes that I made, and they turned out so great. So when I posted them online, I think with the boosting, I got some few clients. I remember the first client who called me. I was super excited because I was like, well, someone is actually intrigued by what it is that I'm doing. Especially, I stated there and then that these are Kenyan made shoes. So, like, don't come here with expecting quality from, let's say, Italy. It's a startup. And when he called me and he was like, I am buying this pair. Actually, as a matter of fact, he took two pairs. He took two pairs. And from there on, it's been, I said, I'm not going back. The growth has been steady, uh, not as fast as I would have envisioned it, but then with any business, especially a startup, when starting up, don't expect to like blow up in terms of sales. Like you will get one client this week, you might get no client at all for an entire month, but then that does not stop you from doing whatever it is you're doing. Just keep on the persistence, and every time like you have a new design, just post it up. Someone out there will see, and someone out there believes in actually what it is that you're doing. I have a couple of designs. I do menswear, I do women's, and I also do kids. I did a couple of kids shoes, but basically I'm specifically targeting men, because the when it comes to shoes, men tend to spend a little bit more than women, because I think women's shoes are a bit cheap. So I have Oxfords, I have loafers, I have sneakers. These are among the ranges of the shoes that I have. I also have mules for men. I have mules for ladies as well, and flat shoes, and also kids boots. So the price for a pair of shoe varies from the type of leather, the type of material, and the type of shoe that's made. But basically, it ranges from 4,000 to around 7,500 for men's. Kids shoes from 1,500 to 2,500, and for ladies shoes between 1,500 to 3,000. This is an online business, so the start point has to be getting the order. So usually from receiving the order to delivering the product takes roughly 4 days, because actually this is a shoe I'm making from scratch with the details that you're giving me. So first day is getting the order, scouting for the leather, if it's the leather that if it's a specific type of leather that you're looking for. And then so the second day will be to make the shoe, to make the actual shoe. And then the third day, finishing of the shoe. And then the last thing takes a bit of time. And then the final process is packaging and delivering to the client. In all honesty, this business, I feel like I should have started it earlier. Like the joy of making something from scratch, especially as being a stylist, I like the finer things. So I decided if I can be able to make like my own pair to my own specifications, then why not? And each and every day that I wake up and come up with a new design, I feel like that's my greatest joy in life so far. I feel the toughest decision when starting this business had got to be the starting point, because like I said, we were on an ongoing pandemic. Here we are, people are saving up their coins, and here I am taking a major risk with money that I have borrowed, and mark you, this money I have to pay back. So I am using this money to start a business that I have no idea of how to run it. And ever since I made the first shoe, of course there was a bit of setbacks, but then at this very point I feel like, why didn't I do this earlier? Yes, I have sold a pair of shoe actually to Uganda. I have clients, basically clients are regional, because when making this pair of shoe, I am not just making it for the Kenyan Mwananchi, I am trying to sell this brand to the international market as well. Every day waking up, sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it gets to you like you have 2 months you haven't even sold even a single pair. But then there are these people online that come to me asking for internships, some asking for modeling jobs, and here I am 1 month without even selling a pair. And I'm like, this person believes in my craft actually. Like they really want to be part of this brand. And every time I get like this kind of messages, I feel like I need to do more. I need to get up and do more, because these people actually believe in me. In terms of setbacks, there was this one point I made a shoe for a certain client, and remembering so well, like the reception was something else. I delivered the shoe and the client was like, this shoe does not fit, I don't like the finishing, why is this sole like this? And I was like, here's the thing, when I set up my business, like I clearly stated, this is a Kenyan made brand. So if at all you feel like whatever it is that I'm making does not fit your standards, whatever it is that I posted on my page, it's exactly what I make. I don't post pictures online from other brands, because I believe in whatever it is that I'm making, it's what it is that I will sell. I like under promising and over delivering. For that case, I had to keep the shoe because clearly the client could not take the shoe. I had to return back his money that he paid for deposit, and so I think that is just one of those bad day in the office moments for me. Okay, so moving forward, I decided like for each and every pair, I'm going to do like quality control. So I have to assess like the stitching, the lasting, the gluing of the shoe in order to avoid those kinds of errors in future. If you're interested in getting into shoemaking, I think the first thing you need to do is research. Do proper research before embarking on the journey. As much as I did research, I went in blindly. Get people to help you out in terms of get professionals to guide you through the pattern making, to guide you through the cutting of the leather, because sometimes you might be cutting leather wrongly and it will be a waste. But then basically, if you feel like this is something you're into, just start. Why not?